Today is July 2nd, 2012, and we are interviewing Mark C. Sison at the DoubleTree Hotel located in San Pedro, California. Mr. Sison is 78 years old, having been born on September 3rd, 1933. My name is Carol Apt, and I'll be doing the interview. Assisting me will be Rafael Areola. This interview is being done for the Greater Long Beach chapter of the American Red Cross in conjunction with the Library of Congress and the American Folk Life Center. Mr. Sison served in the United States Navy as a seaman first class during the Korean War in 1952. I want to welcome you, Mr. Sison, and let me thank you personally for your service to our country. It's very much appreciated.
Right.
Okay, Mark, can I call you Mark?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Mark, let's start with the beginning of your life. Where were you born? And just give us a little background into you.
I was born in Seattle, Washington.
In 1933, right?
September 3rd, 1933. Yeah. And what else can I tell you?
What are your parents?
My mom is an American Indian. She's a Nisqually Indian. Raised up on the Nisqually Indian Reservation, which is on the foothills of Mount Rainier.
Wow.
And Fort Lewis, the SOBs are on our land.
Oh.
Yeah, the big army base.
Now tell me about your father.
My father is from the Philippines. And he came to this country in 1927 in the U.S. Coast Guard. So my race, they call us Indo-Pinos.
Okay.
We're all up and down the West Coast, all the way up through Canada and Alaska. These guys in the old days that were what you call they didn't have any kin over here.
So
What's
they
that?
were kin.
Yeah, yeah.
They were. So you have brothers and sisters?
10.
10?
Yeah.
And how do you
Good
fall?
Catholics.
How do you fall in those 10?
I'm one.
You're the oldest?
Yep.
Okay. So as being oldest, what were some of your responsibilities?
Well, I kind of had to take care of the family at times. During the war, my dad was in
The Second World War?
Merchant Marines, so he was gone quite a bit, which meant I had a lot of the responsibilities as head of household. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
And prior to the war, we lived on the Nisqually Indian Reservation, on the Yakima Indian Reservation. Lived in downtown Seattle, and wherever my dad could find work. And up in Juneau, Alaska, for 4 years when I was a child.
What type of work did he do?
In Alaska, he worked in the gold mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, that gold mine in Juneau is closed.
So where did you go to school?
I think I went about 10 grade schools. And I went to Garfield High School in Seattle. Got kicked out in 1951 as a junior. Wrong crowd.
Yeah.
That's why I joined the Navy in 1951.
Okay. So how old were you when you joined the Navy?
18.
So could you sign for yourself at that age, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Me and a buddy of mine.
Why did you select the Navy?
3 squares and a clean rack.
Well, the Army and the rest would.
I don't dig foxholes.
I see. So where did you enlist at?
Seattle.
Seattle?
Yeah, went to boot camp in San Diego.
How was that?
Too hot.
How did you like the regiment?
Regiment.
The regiment in the at boot camp.
I liked boot camp, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
You knew exactly what it was going to be like, or did you like
No,
the
not
structure?
really. That was the first time I ever shaved. Everybody's teasing me because they were talking about bringing a cat in to lick my face, take the whiskers off, right? First time I shaved half of my face off.
Yeah.
That's those double blade razors.
So did they make you shave after a first time?
Oh, God. They put me in front of the company and gave me a rough time.
Oh.
The old chief, he was a chief boatswain mate. His name was Willie Bishop. He looked just like Popeye. Always had a pipe in his mouth. He was a real character. I really enjoyed him.
So
Yeah.
he could walk around with a pipe while he was working?
No. He'd
Oh.
come into the quarters there after a day's work and BS with the troops. Yeah.
So how long was boot camp?
What was it? Not quite 3 months. Yeah.
And so during that time, what were you thinking about doing in the Navy?
Well, I didn't have enough education. I couldn't pass a lot of their tests. I hated tests anyway. So I wound up on the deck force on the ship.
Okay, so
Yeah.
did you have some leave after boot camp?
Oh yeah. What was it? A week maybe?
Did you go home?
Yeah. And when I got back, I boarded my ship in Long Beach,
What ship was this?
the Iowa.
So you started right out in the Iowa.
I served aboard the USS Iowa for 4 years. That was my home for 4 years, yeah.
So maybe you want to mention that why you're in San Pedro today.
Yeah, well, when I went aboard ship, I served 2 years on the deck force. They call us deck apes, swab the deck and chip paint and all that good stuff. This touch-up work all on the exterior of the ship, And then after serving 2 years on the deck force, I went to Ship Service Division where I worked as the cook and took care of the captain's galley.
Okay,
For the captain.
before we go on, explain what type of ship the USS Iowa was.
It's a battleship.
Okay, and how many
She
people?
was the first one built in the Iowa class.
Okay,
After the Iowa came the New Jersey, the Missouri, and the Wisconsin.
so how many were aboard?
The ship, I think during the war campaign in Korea, we had 3,000. Normally it's 2,700. Yeah.
So did your ship always stay in the Pacific side?
No. We were maybe in 52, we were in Korea for maybe, I think it was like 7 months. Colder than hell.
So this was the beginning of this type of a ship. So did you feel that it was a real upgrade from the ones that had been over in that area during the Korean War?
When I was over there, it was a United Nations duty. The Brits were there, the Greeks, so all kinds of ships at the same time.
So
And
your ship was just like where in Korea? Outside?
we're part of the task force. They called us Task Force 77,
And what?
7th Fleet.
So what was your duty? What was the ship supposed to be doing exactly?
Shelling the hell wherever wherever needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So initially you said you started out by repairing, painting, and fixing things.
That's working on deck. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many did that were you in crews or something? 2 or 3 of you together? Or
No, primary. It's,
hundreds?
yeah. There are 7 deck divisions on our ship,
Okay.
and the 8th division was Marines. So, first and 2nd divisions were up on the forecastle,
Okay.
and they had charge of I believe the turrets 1 and 2, those big 16-inch. We call them rifles, not guns.
Well, how many rifles were on the ship, and how were they located?
You had 2 turrets forward and 1 turret aft. So that's 9 rifles. To you guys, guns, cannons. Yeah.
So were they in use a lot?
Oh yeah. When they do a 9 gun salvo, if we were firing to port, for example, the whole ship would shift to starboard, sideways.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when, did you use up those and then turn, or you just, how did that work?
No, wherever there was a target, you know. Yeah.
So how many years did you do this? You said 2?
In Korea, 7 months.
Okay.
2 years on deck, working as a deck force, working on the deck force. And like I said, 2 years in the captain's mess, captain's cook. I cooked breakfast for the captain every morning.
Okay.
And the chief, the big chief, would come in and do lunch and dinners. Nice, fancy stuff, you know, just like you were on a regular ship's cruise. Yeah.
So this ship, so after it was in Korea, you stayed on it, and so where, didn't you, for the whole time, you said for 4 years you were on it. So where did the ship go after the Korea section, which was 7 or 8 months?
Yeah, well, we replenished all the time ammunition and supply goods in Japan. Yeah, we first went in to Japan at Yokosuka, and then from there we were down in Sasebo, in Otaro, Nagoya. Otaro, I believe, is way up north. Went on Liberty. That was a real sad Liberty because they loaded us on trucks and took us on an army base. Who wants to go to an army base? Boring.
So your Liberty was basically in Japan at that time?
Yeah, while we were serving in Korea.
Okay.
Yeah, our first stop on the way over was Honolulu, naturally, Pearl Harbor.
So
Yeah.
this was after, many years after Pearl Harbor had been bombed, so it was probably well.
Oh yeah.
So the base was back together pretty
Oh
well.
yeah. Yeah.
Did you get Liberty there?
Oh yeah. What can I tell you? Hawaii's nice. I mean, to me, they always thought I was Hawaiian anyway. They called us. They called me "Oh, you local boy." And I picked up their pidgin English real fast.
Great.
Yeah. Actually, you know, on my reservation, well, actually all through the Puget Sound country and up into Canada too. During the 1700s, you know, the English, they called them the Sandwich Islands during that time, would bring all these Hawaiian boys back into our area because they're strong swimmers, etc. And the funny part is because they interbreeded with all the tribes, and they had forts during that time, you know, the Hudson Bay Company. And anyway, a lot of the times they restricted the white men to the forts because they were distributing booze amongst the Indians, which created lots of havoc and wars, etc. And they were stealing our women. And so they were restricted to the fort, whereas the Hawaiian boys weren't restricted. They got to go out and do whatever they did. So intertwined with the tribes, and a lot of us are mixed with Hawaiian blood.
Okay, so.
Of course, you don't want to tell an Indian that. But
So when the Iowa left the mainland here, it stopped in Honolulu on its way over to Korea.
on the way to Korea.
Okay.
And back from Korea back to Hawaii.
Let's get you back in Korea. You mentioned here Wonsan Harbor.
Yeah.
Anything exciting happening there?
So we did a lot of shelling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned the Chongjin invasion.
Yeah, Chongjin invasion, that's way up in the northeast corner. It's right up at the Chinese border. Yeah, they had a big mock invasion there. You can see, went out and looked out at the area there was full of ships. Ships from England, Greece, France.
Now, what do you mean by a mock invasion? Mock. It was
Well,
just
what they did is
practice?
no, no way, Jose. Tin cans went up along the beach and shelled up and set up smoke screens, and we shelled, and the transports were loaded with Marines, and they were taking the Beechcraft going up to the beach, and all of a sudden they turned around and came back to their to their ships.
How long did this last?
Oh, about most of the day.
Okay.
You know, a lot of some of those ships that were up along the beach got hit. And we took some of their people that were killed and put them in our what do they call them? Reefers.
Refrigerators.
Yep. Yep.
So after the Chongjin invasion, you mentioned Pusan Harbor. Now where's that
Busan
located?
Harbor. Well, let's see. That's been what, over 50 years now. I think it's on the west side of Korea. I believe it's below the 38 parallel, or right up in that area. So you got, and also Busan Harbor. And we did a lot of shelling on the railroad supply. Yeah, every time they rebuilt, we went back and
You got to go.
shell them again.
Yeah. And then it says, that's what you're saying, the rail supply routes. Did you shell supply routes all over Korea, would you say? Or
Yeah,
near
I think the main track was on the west side of the peninsula, I believe, yeah.
what time of year was this?
Wintertime.
So how was it on the ship? Freezing cold?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. In
Did-
fact, I belong to this, we call it the Intertribal Warrior Society. And we're based up there on the Muckleshoot Indian Reservation. And we do the Mount Tahoma National Cemetery as an honor guard with rifles, 21 gun salutes for burial detail. It's the National Cemetery in Covington, Washington,
I see.
twice a month. And then we do color guard for parades and powwows, wherever they are.
How long have you been doing this? Quite a few years?
A dozen years already.
It's very rewarding, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Very rewarding.
Sometimes we do 13 burials a day.
Oh, that's not good.
Guys are going.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, when you were in Korea, you got some awards. Why
Oh,
don't you
yeah.
tell me about those?
I had a heck of a time trying to remember what they are. Let's see.
I'll help you if you forget.
We had the Korean and with 2 battle stars. The Korean Presidential Citation, the National Defense, United Nations, and U.S. Naval Reserve Award. I believe that's all.
Yes.
Or the China Sea
Campaign.
campaign, right?
So, you should be proud of those. Do you have them on, you don't have those on your, do you have, were they all awards that you got to wear on your uniform?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No.
I wear them today when we do parades, etc. Sometimes for the, let's see, maybe the last 3 years we've done the heck's his name again? I'll think of it, senior moment. Anyway, we've been down into the Pima Indian Reservation, which is in Arizona, and we did for a World War II vet in San Antonio, Texas, at their national cemetery.
Wonderful.
So, and we've done services over on the Colville Indian Reservation, which is in eastern Washington. So, and well, we do parades locally around the greater Seattle area, Puget Sound, yeah.
Well, can I bring you back to after the Korean War?
Yeah.
After the Korean War, the ship was over in Korea. Now what happens to that ship and you?
Well, we came back, I believe it was in September. First we stopped in Hawaii again, came back to Long Beach. Esther Williams greeted us.
Wonderful. Any other stars?
Oh, I don't remember. We were all eyeballing Esther Williams.
So you
Yeah.
had some liberty here?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Kind of felt bad, though, because I didn't have any family down here, you know. All these other guys, man, they had wives, girlfriends, etc. And that's kind of...
So how, it was like a week or so you were here? Or a month?
Probably And then we went down through the Panama Canal
How was
over
that?
to the Atlantic, up to Norfolk, Virginia. Oh, that was Panama Canal. That was a good liberty in Panama City, yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
That's what I thought. And went up to Norfolk, Virginia, and that was my last 2 years. That was our home port.
Okay.
And a little better than 2 years. We did liberties down throughout the Caribbean.
From Panama, you mean going up to Norfolk?
No, out of Norfolk, we had to
some
go
of your
training
trips.
sessions.
I see.
A place that we hated was Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
Mm.
Yeah, did shelling on the Calibre Island practice. I can't remember all the other places that we stopped in the Caribbean. But in Norfolk, in '53, I was on the boxing team for the ship, the Iowa boxing team.
What classification? What class of Bantam?
Yeah, bantamweight. And I wound up in the hospital, the Portsmouth Naval Hospital, for about 6 months with a couple of broken eardrums out of that, yeah. I was runner-up for the battleship cruiser. They call it Back Crew Land.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
So did you have time, did you practice off the ship at a gym
Oh, yeah.
or something?
Oh, yeah. NOB, they call it.
Okay. So you
Naval-
they
naval
didn't
base.
keep, they didn't keep you on the ship while
No,
you were there. You,
well, they call it TDY, I believe.
I see.
Something like that. We got to go have dinner on base, a lot of waves at the time.
So but your evenings bedtime was on the ship or on
Oh, no, on the base.
on the base?
Yeah.
Okay, you're all,
Yeah,
so no one really stayed on the ship but a
No.
skeleton group?
right.
And then you'd go on the ship like for work, like 40 hours a week or something?
Yeah, when you're on TDY, you're on base, on the base, yeah.
Okay, well then when the ship would, call you back, or how did you end up going on these
No, after the boxing season finished, then we had to return back to the ship, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, well, actually, after I got out of the hospital, that is.
Okay, so after you finished the boxing and got yourself back together, how many years was this that you had been in by now? About
2.5,
2.5.
yeah.
And so then what was the next thing? You became the cook?
Oh, yeah, that was, like I said, I cooked breakfast for the captain.
Okay. How did you get into the cooking detail?
Oh, I was working in the 3rd Division, which is stationed on the fantail of the ship.
Okay.
And the chief's quarters are back in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And the old chief, the old Filipino chief, came up and talked to me, asked me if I wanted to come work for him. And I said, anything to get off this damn deck.
Oh, that was good did the chief, was he a total Filipino or?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
right from the islands.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, you know,
Did he teach you, was it on the job training?
well, and like I said, I was head of household growing up, right?
Yeah,
So I did a lot of cooking for my family. So anyway, I didn't know how to do all that fancy cooking the chief did, but.
So what did he like for breakfast?
Captain, they always had hotcakes, bacon, eggs, sausage. Same thing, I ate it too.
Every day he had the same thing.
Well, whatever else, you know.
He would order and then you would make.
Yeah, well, you know, those officers, they had to buy their own supplies.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay then. So how many were cooking for the officers? Just yourself, no one else?
I just cooked for the captain.
Okay,
Yeah, breakfast.
okay.
Lunch and dinner was the chief's responsibility.
So what did you have to do after breakfast?
I had to clean the galley. His galley, right. Spotless white glove inspection, etc. Yeah.
So it'd be ready for the lunch brigade and the dinner fellow.
Oh, yeah. I helped cook with the chief when we were in Oslo, Norway. The King of Norway came aboard. We fixed dinner for him.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, my ship come from the reservation, it took me a lot of places around the world that I probably only read in the newspaper or from books.
Which place did you think was the most exotic or different from?
Oh, I like Scandinavia. They like our tan skin, they like our black hair. Then women would come up and pull my hair to see it was because it got black hair.
Okay, so
And I kind of got insulted because a lot of those black guys on the ship, when they were on the beach, they told these Scandinavian girls that they were Indians.
so let's find out about your family life. When are you married? Have you been married?
Yeah. I got, how many kids do I have? I have 3 of my own. Yeah. And then I got 7 grandkids already.
Oh, wow.
And 1 grandchild.
So when did you find time to get married? After the service or while you were in the
Oh,
Navy?
no, during the Navy. I met a nice little honey over in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, she was from the shore. They call it the shore.
Yes.
Yeah. I think she was from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Nice family.
So did you ever get much leave? Well,
Whenever I had any money, yeah. You know, they have what they call liberty. You can get 48-hour liberty or 72-hour liberty. And my dad at that time lived in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and in Newark. So anytime I got a 48-hour pass or 72-hour pass, I'd hitchhike, which was a no-no. If the shore patrol caught you out on the highway hitchhiking, they throw you in a brig.
so how did your family? How did your dad end up in New Jersey from?
Merchant Marines.
Oh, I see.
They split the sheets, him and my mom.
I see.
My mom was, after 10 kids, she got to slugging them down. So that took care of that.
Yeah, that's too bad. So after you put in all your time on the Iowa, it came time to either re-up or what?
Oh, no. When I got my 4 years regular, well, I guess I'd call it regular, after 4 years, you know, they give us a big cell trying to get us to ship over, but I said I want out.
Okay.
And when I got out and went home, they put me on standby reserve, which I had to serve 4 years.
Now, where was home at that time?
Seattle.
Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
So your wife moved with you back to Seattle?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you're on a standby or something?
Standby reserve, they call it.
Okay.
Right.
And how long did that go on for?
4 years.
Okay. Were you
Yeah.
called back?
Oh,
During that
Christ.
time?
No, I went back to school. You can see it there. I wrote it down.
Okay. So where did you go?
I finished my high school education, and then I went to the University of Washington and got a bachelor's in 1976.
Using your GI Bill?
Yes. And I got a master's degree in 1981 from the University of Washington in Seattle.
Now, what were your degrees on? In?
That's it. Master's of Public Administration
Okay.
and a bachelor's degree in 76.
So then what did you end up doing with those degrees? What kind of a
Well,
job?
prior to that, I worked in the hotel restaurant industry for over 25 years. And I do some of that still today, and helping some friends of mine in catering. And I opened the Space Needle restaurant during the 1962 World's Fair.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I was a captain up there, which is one of the management.
So you've stayed in the Seattle area pretty
Born and
much?
raised.
And-
I'm a homer.
Okay. So after you got your degrees, you worked in the restaurant industry, you were basically, what type of work did you do in the restaurant?
After I got my degree, I went to work in the federal government with Housing Urban Development.
Okay.
I worked for 6 years as an FHA appraiser. I had to go back to school, which I hated. I had to go to Chicago for the Real Estate Appraisers Society. And after 6 years as an appraiser, FHA appraiser, they privatized. So from there I moved up to Indian housing.
I see.
It's called ONAP, Northwest Office of Native American Programs. So I worked in Indian housing and on Indian reservations in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, parts of Montana.
And so what did you do with housing? You were just appraising them? The Indian housing, or tell?
No, in Indian housing was different. I did a lot of grants management work.
I see.
Yeah.
So did you think that the service, how do you feel that helped you in the rest of your life? Did it make much difference?
Made a better person. Stayed out of serious trouble. Yeah, you learned right from wrong, that's for sure.
What do you think about kids today? Did you get your children, any of them, going to the service?
Well, when there was problems, and they were still young, and I told them, hey, you guys moved to Canada. We're Indian. We didn't put that border there.
Right.
Yeah. They call it the J Treaty. We can go back and forth across that border.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you recommend kids going into the service if they're maybe on the border
Hey,
being troublemakers?
they got these guys that are going around shooting everybody. It's bad news. And you know, my philosophy is if they're caught and they want to going around shooting people, send them over there. See what it feels like to get shot back at. Yeah, right?
So,
Teach them a lesson.
Yeah, I think that's good. So now you've told me about your duties with the Honor Guard already, and so now you're retired from the Housing Authority, it says here, after 20 years. What are you doing to keep yourself busy besides doing your honor guarding?
Well, I've done some work with FEMA. Yeah, what do they call it today? I can't remember what they call it, senior moment.
Federal Emergency Management?
Yeah, but it's got a different title today. And I worked at the 2010 Census Bureau.
So do you feel at your age that you need to give back anything to your community?
I already did it.
Okay, we're almost finished with your interview, but I want to know, how would you like to be remembered?
Well, with my kids, you know, let them know that old dad was here. And that's all my concern is hope for them a better life. Times are tough right now. Just got to keep on plugging.
Is there anything else that you would like to include in your interview here?
No, not really. I'm glad to be here to see all the old gang down here at the USS Iowa Ships Reunion. Yeah. They got us fully booked in 3 different hotels. Yeah.
So, well, I think we'll conclude this interview at this point. I do appreciate you coming. I do appreciate your service to our country, and I do hope you enjoy this reunion.
Oh, I suppose I will.